Okay, so these are disc brakes. Almost every single car has these types of brakes. This is a 3/4 ton truck, so these are very large versions of this, but all cars are like this unless you have like a 1950s car that's got drum brakes. You don't have that. That's what but these are disc brakes. So our problem is not that the brakes are bad, not that the disc is bad, but that this caliper that squeezes the pads onto the disc to stop the car is sticking. So it squeezes it shut and leaves it shut, and then it spins and gets hot, and it was smoking. So we're gonna take these completely off and go get a new caliper. We're gonna reuse the brake pads. We're gonna reuse the disc. Normally, you would change, when you're just changing brakes, you would just change the pads and the disc. The disc on a regular car is going to cost you around $70 for a brand new disc. Pads are going to cost you around $30. So you got $70 for each wheel. So about $300 for brand new discs. Some places can turn them, but I always get brand new discs. So about $300 for all brand new discs. The pads you'll usually buy in pairs. So 30 for the front, 30 for the back. So you're looking at around $450 in parts to change out all the brakes on a car. We're going to do a little more because normally you would not disconnect completely the caliper, but we are going to disconnect the caliper, which means we're going to remove the brake line. That's this rubber line that puts brake fluid into the caliper that squeezes when you press on the brake, right? That's the brake fluid. So we're gonna first,
I remember the guy saying
take
something
that
about
off.
if we had a damaged brake line hose or whatever,
right?
that could cause the issue.
Well, and that
you don't see anything like that.
I do not see anything wrong with this brake line to where it's like clamped or anything else. And it's not, brake lines are usually not soft the whole way through. They're just soft around where the car moves. And then they're hard metal lines past that. So because this is going to drain hydraulic fluid, brake fluid, I've got a big size thing of brake fluid so that I can just take the brake fluid thing off and have it just drain right into that bucket. This one, again, everything on this is going to be larger because it's a big truck. This one is an 11 millimeter to pull this off. Whew. And okay, it will drip. Okay, so we got that off. It looked like a washer went down into the brake fluid, which we'll get that. That was uncool.
How would you get that?
We'll get that out of there with a magnet.
Oh, that works.
Okay, these are going to be really tight, and it helps to do it the right way. There we go. Okay, so there's there's always going to be 2 bolts that hold the brake caliper on, right? Because the brake caliper actually slides on those bolts back and forth. Because over time, as your brake pads wear, this thing needs to move. So we need to, Bob, can you give me the large screwdriver out from, it should be right there. So we're going to put a screwdriver in here and spread it out a little bit to make it nice and loose. So I'm just, and there we go. Brake fluid. So now you'll see it's nice and loose. And that's okay. There's brake fluid in this caliper. We know that's coming off. Okay. These are funny looking bolts because they are only connected in a small part, but then the caliper slides on them, so they're long, and you'll see they're like pins as much as they're like bolts.
Okay.
So the caliper is sliding in and out of that. Now, sometimes a car only has 2, and this car, because it's heavy duty, has 4 bolts that I have to take off, because there's also this big bracket that this caliper's on. Not all cars have this big bracket. Some of them just have the caliper. Come on.
Whoa.
Yep. Wow, what are you stuck on?
Might need to borrow
There
some
we go.
Might
Okay.
need to borrow some kitty litter from you, Bob.
So there's the caliper, and so when you press on the brakes, these pistons move forward. So when that juice was, the hydraulic fluid was coming out, it's because we pressed these down in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here's your brake pads. Outer brake pad. These are brand new. Again, our brake pads are not a problem. You'll know when your brake pads are bad because they'll be a lot thinner than that, and the groove will be gone. These are sound markers. So as this gets to your wheel, it'll start making that grinding noise, and that's on purpose. So you can tell there's a lot more brake pad before it gets to there. So this also has a caliper bracket, and so we got to take off that bracket. And that's a larger, bigger screw or bolt, and this is just a traditional looking bolt. And if things are too tight, get a longer wrench and get more leverage. This is a breaker bar ratchet.
Sure you're going the right way?
Yes. There. So now that now that's a little loose, move it up to the top one. Here, let's go ahead and put it back on our breaker bar. There. And that's by the way, that is the key. If I still couldn't do that, I could take a pipe off of the jack and I could put a 10-foot pipe and then just make it longer and longer. The longer it is, the less strength you need to do the turning.
Oh.
The best tool would be an impact, but if you can't, this is their next best thing.
Yeah.
To go with Bob's plan, which most people don't have, an impact gun. But that is kind of cheating.
It helps not to rip bolts.
If you don't have that.
Yeah.
Or the compressor. Okay, so that's it. The other part is this is the disc, which we don't need to change. But the disc literally just slides off those lug nuts. That's true on just about every car. Some cars may have another.
What was that teeny tiny thing you just shoved back on
It's
there?
literally just a clip to hold it in place so that it's
A
not
little.
rattling so much when you put it together.
Oh.
That's all those are. You know.
Okay.
That's it. So we're gonna do the same to the other side and take the other caliper off. We're gonna go get new calipers,
Okay.
and then we're gonna reverse it. But that's all there is to brakes. Past that, there's nothing past this, right? You have your you know, a couple of parts that hook up to the brake pedal and, you know, the reservoir where you put in your brake fluid. But that's pretty much the brake systems on every car since like 1970. Okay.
You're all
Stop.
good.